I think anybody in the automotive industry understands that phrase. People buy from who they know, like, and trust. And that has been a perpetuity. Any conference I've ever been to, that's always a thing that's said. And that's how you take social media aspect and you kind of take, okay, how do I get somebody to know, like, and trust me?
What if transforming the car buying experience was just a post away? Today on Facts Not Feelings, we're exploring the pulse of digital branding with the one and only Nathanael from Mohawk Auto Group. From the viral series to social strategies that resonate across multiple dealerships, discover how Mohawk is driving the future of automotive interactions online and beyond. Nathanael, welcome to the show. I cannot wait to dive into all this about your social media strategy and everything you guys are doing over there at Mohawk.
Hey, thanks for having me. I mean, that whole intro is just like mind blowing, the way that, writers make me sound more important than I am. But yeah, I love social media, love branding, and we've been doing this for a while, and then we just happen to, go viral, which is amazing, and so happy for the team on their success.
Well, you say it just happened. So this is not the first time you guys have went viral, Mr. Buddy the Elf and Toy Story and Andy coming into the store, everyone like also falling asleep. Like there are so many things you guys do. You just make it so fun. And it's a lot of times when you and I talk about this, we'll say, hey, would you follow yourself on social media? Like, would you follow your dealership? 9 times out of 10, like, no, there's no way I would. Like, it's not entertaining. It doesn't educate, whatever the reason. But you guys do such a phenomenal job of just, and obviously the dealership we'll get into, like you guys just crushed it on that. Not that I'm surprised. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's a definitely different perspective than most people take, right? And it's something that I've been able to talk and actually execute, right? And there's a lot of people that talk about making social media better and bringing up the automotive, and fortunately have had ownership and the management staff allowing us to really take it one step further, go to the next level, and really take social media from automotive and make it fun, entertaining, and people are actually starting to look at it and be like, well, I might actually consider buying a Rado or buying a CRV, or check out what are they doing with the Grinch, or how is it that they're going viral and we're just talking about Toy Story. Like there's so many things that go into a social media strategy, and it's not just throw it out the wall and sticks. Yeah, there's a component of testing and phasing, but it's not just taking random things and throwing at it. It's looking at it every single day and seeing what could work, and really taking a mental note of what social media is and taking that, bringing it into the dealership phase, showcasing people and building that brand on social so that it affects all of your other advertising.
Amen. We can just stop the show right there. We're good to go. Covered everything. Mic drop. So let's go like big picture. You guys are doing so much over there, but how has Mohawk Auto Group, what's your approach to branding evolved? Obviously, there's a lot of different social media platforms out there, but how has your approach evolved over this time?
So it's always been the one thing, right? It's always been brand. And when I started and pitched the job position that I have now, it was always one, how can I get individuals in our local community to understand who we are, who they're going to see, and what the process is like, right? And to build trust, because if people don't know, like, and trust you, their chances are they're not going to want to do business with you. I mean, I think anybody in the automotive industry understands that phrase. People buy from who they know, like, and trust. And that has been a perpetuity. Any conference I've ever been to, that's always a thing that's said. And that's how you take social media aspect, and you kind of take, okay, how do I get somebody to know, like, and trust me? Well, you show them the processes, you show the people, you show who you care about, what you care about as an automotive, as a dealership and local community. are you a part of the community? So like, it's just all those little things that you take on social media, and then you get it used, and then you get that one person in your dealership that understands social media to kind of take the ideas, take those people, make it into content, put it on the different platforms, contextualize it for all those different platforms, and then voila, you just keep going every single day. You just keep working at it, getting 1% better, looking at who is interacting, who's not interacting. Is it the people we want to interact? There's so much that goes into it to really call it, just social media, right? Just branding, just marketing, just media.
I was watching a thing from Rorman and our mutual
Oh
friend.
my gosh, can we talk about that real
Yeah,
quick?
so like I know this episode's going to drop a little bit later, so this is going to be like old news. But this just at the time of recording this happened this week, and for those that don't know, I'll just let you take the floor on this. But this was a really cool like, hey, does social media work? Does it sell cars? Because everyone wants to know, does it sell cars? Well, slow down. Let's not look at that way. So I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, so personally, I love always finding new dealerships and finding those that are like really just absolutely annihilating social media. And I found out about Rorman through this one campaign that they did. Was they sold a car for $99 and put that on TikTok. And that was their what, and I found out that their major strategy is social media. They don't do any traditional. And they're, because of that, they have been able to make this campaign massive. And people, one specific thing that I found out is the guy camped out in a tent for 7 days
Yes.
to get this $99 car. I'm like, man, I really want to make this happen.
It's nuts. And so Jordan's asking, I can't remember the individual's name, but just said like, hey, how do you know this is work? He goes, well, we weren't on social media. And overnight, pretty much is what happened. He goes, he goes, look, right now we have people camping out. We have people that have been here for 6 days, for 5 hours. And now they're in the showroom. And then he followed up the question with, and I'm sure video editor Josh will do a great job like throwing stuff in here right now. But just about that, like, hey, just because we took a loss on this $99 car, it's all the other ripple effect it's going to have. We now know that this person and their kids and the generational cells we're going to have out of this, how people are talking about this. And he goes, we've done away with, and living in Chicago, I grew up with seeing, well, didn't grow up because I moved here, 15 years ago, 16 years ago. But since then, it's always been the Roman commercials are in my head, like seared into my head, and you don't see them anymore. And so I could attest to that. It's all on social media. It's crazy.
That's awesome. I haven't actually seen any of their commercials. I just seen this one thing, and I'm about to dive into a little bit deeper into that strategy. I'm all in. I love what they're doing. But to bring that to, that is like an anomaly. Most dealerships don't see that. Most dealerships don't do that. And I'm sure that they don't always see that either, right? Like we're talking about the dealership, right? We're seeing, and all the content that we made over the past 7 years at Mohawk Auto Group, Mohawk Honda, Chevrolet, Rap Kings, and our collision center. The one thing as I'm walking through my local community is that I am getting talked to by some of our vendors and walking through and knowing my friends, and people know our content. They know, like, you guys have the best social media in the capital region. Like, and that's what I want to hear, right? I want people to be like, yeah, we love looking at your stuff. We love being a part of what you're doing in the community. Like, we love what you do as a community member, right? And that's a whole part of the strategy. And I'm sure that Rorman sees the same thing. And it's not always a one-to-one comparison. But what we have noticed is that the ROI comes from having a more effective marketing campaign, having a more effective target, because that aspect, it's that people that may not have seen it. And this is where the algorithm comes in of understanding, is that it used to be that your followership would see everything that you made, right? But now it is only the content that you make, whether or not they follow you or not follow you, they just start to see all of your content. And Instagram has made that perfectly clear that this is the new thing moving forward. And that's TikTok, right? TikTok shows you in your For You page based on how long you're looking at a video, how long you're commenting or going through the thread there, looking at the shares, looking at the saves. Like there's a hierarchy now. Like likes are at the bottom,
Yeah.
right? Likes are at the bottom now. It's no longer like and subscribe. It's comment, share, save.
Yes.
Like add this into your favorites, add this into your collections on Instagram, right? And Facebook is, how are you building community? Can you have a group that's like, you get people into that? Are they following? And there's so much that goes into it. And that's what we're doing day in and day out.
I love it. So I know you and I've talked about this many a times. But I am going to ask it again because we have a audience member and it's never listened to this. And so what's the biggest challenge when creating content that resonates across all the different platforms?
You don't. I mean, and I'll be the first one to say, like, we repost our content across all platforms, right? We don't have an infinite budget. We don't have an infinite team to make everything different across the platform. But what we do see that the content that hits and does not hit, we can see that from doing that. We see what content is good on TikTok, what content is doing great on Instagram, and it's testing and seeing the trend that's going on. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people have asked me is like, well, what do you do to make it different? Well, what I do at a minimum right now is changing my captions on every single platform. So
yes.
I'm changing the description on Mohawk Honda's LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok on a video. And that's where it comes in, is that knowing that, I think the first step is knowing that every platform is different and every platform is going to hit differently, right?
Uh-huh.
Like the TikTok phenomena of the dealership with Grace and Ben also didn't hit right away. It was only the 5th episode that we started to see, oh, it's going up. It just keeps going up and up and up. And we're like, okay, well, we need to get on this. Like, and it's taking that fuel. And now we have this now. Like, we know that people love this style of content. They love this style. Well, how can we use that to further our marketing efforts and our efficiency? Like, yeah, that's really how it is.
And I think it's key there. And we'll get into more of the dealership here in a hot minute, but that is so key to know that something that went, what we all from outside looking at was like, oh, it happened overnight. It wasn't overnight. It took the 5th episode to get there. And then all of a sudden, but you watch the trends, know, hey, this might be working. And then obviously it took off. I do want to go, like, for those who don't know, like I said, well, Grace, we'll get into how amazing her and Ben are, like, just are crushing it. But trying to get employee involvement is sometimes really, really difficult. So what do you do? I mean, at this point, you guys are like on autopilot this part, but in general, for those stores are like, how do I encourage people to get participation in these TikToks, in these reels, whatever it may be?
Yeah, I think that's a major question for everybody, is how do I get my employees to be in videos for social media, especially if you're a content creator, right? When I started 7 years ago, people still wondered what I did every day. They asked me, like, what do you do? And it is only through constant asking and being in them yourself. And I think that's one of the biggest things that most creators, if you're in the dealership side, one, you could always find someone that wants to be in it and use them as the star and continue to push that out. But to get those that may not want to be in it, one, group them together. Find the people that want to and don't want to, that are friends, and you kind of move them around and you put them together in videos and let them be in videos together, different lives, different things like that. That's step one. Find that one person and kind of start to move them around and get them placed in there. The second thing is that I found in the earlier years, probably the first 2 or 3 years, we did a lot of used vehicles, and I kind of had a script, waiting for it to come back, the script to really give them a structure, right? Okay, we're going to start here. We're going to talk about the engine. We're going to talk about the headlights. All right, now we're going to move over to the wheels and the side. And then we're going to go to the back. And then we're going on the inside. And that's the video. And for them, one, it's good for them because if they have to show this vehicle later, they're going to know about it. Mm-hmm. And Two, that gets them in this, okay, it's really not that bad, right? Now, lives were a different story, right?
Mm.
In order for me to get them into the lives, I had to be in it. And basically what I would do is I would run the show. I would say, all right, here, when it was lot walks. We were doing a lot of lot walks, which I would do every Wednesday. And I would get them, okay, we're going to do a lot walk. Let's get everybody out there. All right, so I'm walking, I'm holding the phone. And what I would do is I literally ask them questions that they already knew. What's a certified pre-owned vehicle? What is on this Honda Civic? What's your favorite car that we pass? Which one's your favorite? Like super softball questions that they could just knock out of the park that would really give them the confidence. Oh, hey, this is pretty great. This isn't that hard. This isn't that difficult for me to do.
And even for me, like I was always the one behind the camera, and it took, not that I was, I'm not as you all know, I'm not a shy person. I just would rather be behind the camera. So it was a bit of a switch even for me to be like that first video I did that. And it's one thing to talk in public. It's another thing to have a camera in front of you that there's not really feedback in that essence. So it takes a bit to like just ease them into that. So I do want to know, like, this is something we talk about a lot as well, is that you're trying to balance the promotional content with the educational or community focused content and keep that brand there. So how do you guys go about doing that? Because I know this is something that's near and dear to your heart.
Yeah. So honestly, like one of my sayings is we're more than a lease special, right? Like we still have to have them. Like we still have to run a business. And the best way to do that is one, as a content creator, you need to meet with your management team and understand what their objectives and their goals are, right? And then I say we do 98% of everything in-house, right? Where there's a few things out there that we don't do, like targeted vehicle ads that show our inventory. But when it comes to content, 98%, we're making the lease specials that are going up on our website and everything like that. All the video commercials and everything that's in-house. We have the equipment, as you can tell. Like not every dealership has this microphone, right? No. Like no one sees the camera that's behind here that we're using a Blackmagic because we're doing
it's voodoo at this point.
Well, the Blackmagic is for anyone who doesn't know, is what you use for live streaming. You take the HDMI from the camera, you place it in there. But yeah, no one has. If you've seen the More Than Cars episode, not every dealership has a green screen, right? And this is coming from the top down of them wanting to bring things in-house to make it more custom. And that's what you can do with the social media team is you're making all this content, yes, but it's not just social media content that you can make. You can make everything else that, okay, I want to talk about a prologue. Okay, well, what can we do with a prologue? You can, one, obviously you can throw out the lease special. Two, you can do a walk around. Three, you can do your 5 fastbacks that you love about that. If you're doing traditional, tie in what we like, and the assistant general manager at Mohawk Chevrolet, Katie and I have talked about, like, we want our ads to have legs. That's her favorite line. Is, we want it to have legs. So how can you partner with the community with these ads that you're already doing? So we have radio talents come in. So if you check our social media on Mohawk Hondas, we have Terry O'Donnell, who recently came in to talk about this, which is what we're doing in the community, which is, we are we're partnering with a local church to raffle off a Camaro. And he came in to talk about how he had just bought a ticket. And if you want to win, you can be he's a radio talent. He does the live reads for Mohawk Honda. Mm-hmm. But we bring him in to give it legs and take it one step further. Now he's in our content. So now we're getting that local influencer, right? Influencer is not just somebody that is on Instagram.
Yes, thank you.
Someone in your local community that has a lot of ties, that has already this following because they've been on radio for a while. They've been around the community for a long time, and them talking about you being in your content takes that one step further.
I couldn't agree more. And that is, I think, too often is it doesn't just not in our industry, industries in general, you get so caught up that the influencer, it's got to be a Kim Kardashian. Like, no, there's more to that than that. Like there's go with your I mean, there's so many local things that you can bring in to have that influence per se. So as I tee up this next question, I just have to like not smile because like really, if you just go Google the dealership or Mohawk, you're gonna see the SEO value on this. But those are out there like, well, it's just social media. But the social media plays it's a big role in the SEO strategy for enhancing the digital presence of you guys and any other group out there. But what have you guys seen with that, with the in regard to social media and your SEO strategy?
So I will say that the dealership, even though it was very popular, very real, I think General Motors might have gone a little more on the SEO part of that. They might have got a little more sales from that, just a little bit. People were saying, I think I'm going to consider buying a Rado now versus before.
Toronto.
But, you know, but still, local people in the local region have all been like the dealership. Like they know the dealership now. We've had people that called in and have wanted to take photos with Grace when they're getting the vehicle delivered. Sometimes on Saturdays. Well, they've all been on Saturdays, so she's not really in the dealership at the moment. But you know, there's that, right? Like people do understand that. Oh, Mohawk Chevrolet did this. So
Mm-hmm.
as much as there's no one-to-one, there is an actual ROI is what you make it, especially in the social media realm.
Amen. And it is like I have clients here in Illinois that between you and Ortega, they're like, yeah, it's something like Valley, go Valley High to it. And they're like, and so then we'll start talking like, and then you guys get brought up all the time. And so it resonates and it's, so from a social media, yes, it does resonate, but I guarantee like if you, just cause I've done this before, cause the last like couple of videos I've had, we've talked about the dealership. And so there's been clips there. And I literally just tell my editor, I was like, just literally Google the dealership. You're going to see it. He's like, oh my God, this is like, I'm like, yeah, they're everywhere right now. Like just Google it. You're going to see it. So, so that I do want to talk a little bit about this because it is, for those that are new to Mohawk, they just know you for the dealership when you guys have been doing amazing content for a very long time. But when it comes to that series, it's obviously a massive, massive hit. But can you discuss like the concept and then obviously the impact it's had on you guys? We talked about GM and everything in between.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, the dealership is like The Office. It's a very similar parody to that. We've been wanting to do a long time, and we had an opportunity where a coworker started putting these ducks around the dealership. And from like my side, I was at Honda and I came up to Chevrolet and Grace is like, hey, this employee wants me to put around these ducks. And we're all talking and they're like, yo, we should turn this into we should try to figure out how to make this like an office style. So we got a whole bunch of like people and like interviews, and that was kind of the start of it. And then Grace and Ben started taking that and running with it and started making some other episodes because they just Ben is like a diehard Office fan, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Ben is the diehard Office fan in the group of us. We love them. We think The Office is funny, but Ben is the one that's probably has seen all of the episodes like 3 or 4 times. But yeah, so Grace just kind of like as we started making him, Grace just started to become the star of it because of her and Ben just have that zhuzh. Like they have that thing that really struck a chord with the followers and people that started watching it. And they're like, we want more Grace. So they adapted those episodes to really curtail what they're based on. A lot of them were based on the episode that went viral was like an actual day. And they kind of took that, like Ben actually did get sick when we were doing rolling footage, and Grace is short, so like, and she loves trucks, and kind of really dramatizing the the actual experience of working at Mohawk and really taking that. And the characters are themselves, right? Like we literally just ask them to do what they do, and a little extra drama, but everybody knows if you're working in a dealership, there's a lot of that dry humor that goes around. Like there's just, that's that mentality of, rag on each other. We're here. We see each other more than our families, and we all become a work family. And Grace and Ben have absolutely annihilated. They killed it, and they're just continuing to be there. And you probably, at this time of this recording, you've probably seen them at NADA because they will be there. And it's because, one, social media is crazy, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about social media. This blew up on social media. It blew up to where General Motors saw it, and they wanted to bring Ben and Grace out to make an episode. And here we are.
That's so crazy. And for those who don't know, Grace is new to the industry, isn't she?
Yeah, she's about a year and like she's a kid. But yeah, she's about a year and a month in, No, she's been in the industry about a year and 2 months at this point. And at the time of this recording, she started about a year. November 2023 is kind of where she started.
Okay. Well, I just find that so interesting is that we too often, once again, in our industry, we do the same thing over and over and just continue to whatever the OEM says, like we're just going to throw it out there. When in fact, you want to look outside of the industry to get more ideas and how, hey, what's, Mr. Beast doing? Whomever, like, what can you do? So bringing someone in that's fairly new to the industry gives that whole other, like, just a whole fresh view on everything, which you guys you're already doing great. It's just, I love hearing that, like, hey, it's okay to bring people outside the industry in to understand that there's a lot more we can do with it.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, shout out to General Motors, right? Like, they saw it, they saw how well it was doing and how people were reacting. We're like, we should see how we can get in on this, right? And
yeah,
why not do that with your dealerships as an OEM? Why would you not? Why would you have one of your franchisees doing really well on social? How do you partner with more of them to showcase them? Like, that's exactly what you want, isn't it? You want that authentic franchisee feel that people are going to actually go to, right? Like, obviously you have your brand, but then you have dealerships that are emphasizing your brand that you really want to get a part of. And that was kudos to General Motors, 100%. Kudos to them.
And I love seeing that, because I mean, I've definitely seen other stores that have done very well, and you don't see the OEM jump in on it. Now, maybe the OEM is just not social media, they're not savvy with it, whatever it may be. But to your point, it's just kudos to do everything out, because it's a win-win situation for everybody at that point. So for those at NADA, maybe this is where we're camping out to get Grace's autograph, get a little picture with Ben, one of those things.
Fan club out. I'll be their personal security, so you have to get the. Yeah,
I love it. Okay, so we talk. What was that? Sorry.
Start working out now to be their bodyguard.
We gotta beat off the people. Come on, seriously. All right, so we talked a lot about social media, obviously, but there are so many different trends. There's platforms. What do you see if you got your little crystal ball out? You're looking. What emerging trends are you do you anticipate either getting more traction or platforms or things along those lines?
I think that it's constantly changing, right? Like, I actually have my eye on Whatnot right now.
Oh,
and I don't know how to integrate it. I'm just going to be flat out. Like, I don't know how to integrate this into automotive at all. But what we do see, and I'm a huge Gary Vaynerchuk fan. I follow it. And he's talking about live shopping, right? And to be honest, I'm seeing a lot, like, my wife is watching a lot more live shopping, than she ever has. And I'm trying to figure out how we get this integrated. But in terms of, like, platforms, one of the major 7 platforms, TikTok, Instagram are huge right now. And LinkedIn is actually getting there. So if you have a fleet management service, LinkedIn is probably going to be your best bet to really start pushing that out there. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the trajectory. I mean, Instagram is constantly changing, adding new things. So being that pioneer in that space, because, like, right now on Instagram, there's new features that if you're not using, you need to be, because it's not kind of going back to how has everything evolved in social media. Now you have all these different features, like it's asking you now, what's your current vibe on Instagram?
Mhm.
Like, and how do you incorporate stories and lives? And that's kind of what we're seeing. I think it's not necessarily platform. I think it's more features to further the brand building on social media at the moment. Because I think you should be on all of them. However way you can, pick your top 3. So like
Yep.
Facebook,
Master
TikTok,
those.
Instagram, right? And like again, you have to know where your clientele is, right? And
Mhm.
that's where brand comes into play. Like Honda is more family friendly, right? And you're a local you're a local dealership. You need to be on Facebook because that's what community,
Yes.
right? Instagram is great for exposure. It's great for reach. It's great for people to find you more. And then you kind of bring them over into the Facebook family. And then who are you trying to target? Gen Z, millennials, boomers? Where are you trying to Gen X? Like, where are you trying to get your efforts and where are they? Like, that's what everybody has to see, right? And there's boomers that are on TikTok. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, what are they looking for on TikTok? What are they looking for on YouTube? I think long form will actually come make a playback because of YouTube Shorts.
Yep.
YouTube Shorts is another one. There's so many things that I'd say YouTube Shorts are really hot right now.
Yep.
TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook is just that maintain and build.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting bringing up YouTube. So, in short, it's like 2 things on that. One, by the time this airs, it's gonna be a couple months old. But I started doing my editor. We're talking. He's like, "Hey, I see that we call them story times." He goes, "Those seem to be doing really well." Well, there's a normal clips of the podcast being cut up. I will take a current topic and talk about it. And he just goes, "I'm seeing that more and more." And so, like, okay, let's try that. As you're going through, one of the clips is over a minute, and so I was researching, and I don't know if you guys have had this. YouTube is slowly rolling out this feature, but you can do shorts up to 3 minutes. Did you see this?
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but I have heard about it, and I
Yeah.
know that I believe I heard that TikTok is going up to 60 minutes.
Ooh.
That's what I heard. That's the latest on the streets.
That's the word on the street. My people will talk to your people. So yeah, but no, but the thing is like, okay, so you're going to do 3 minutes. And if that's the case, we'll see where this goes. But you see attention span dwindling. So if you don't get it in the first 2 seconds, okay, they're really going to even watch that 30-second video, let alone that 3-minute video. So
Right.
as I tried to upload this video, I couldn't do it because it was so new that my account had not, that feature had been rolled out at this point. Now, and I think it's by the end of the year, all of them should be rolled out. But it was just an interesting, like, okay, so long form, to your point, is that we're seeing shorts go longer, so will long form be more? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens here.
Everyone says attention is small, right?
But
Yeah, of a goldfish, but that is only to capture whether or not it's valuable for them.
Yep.
Right. I think we talked about this a year ago, right? My daughter is 4 years old now, but everyone says kids have the shortest attention span, right? But you put on a 30-minute YouTube video that's talking about Bluey, they're going to watch it for 15, 30.
Yeah.
They'll just keep watching episodes for hours.
Yeah.
Because it's what they want to see.
Well, it's Joe Rogan. Like, who I don't have 3 hours to sit and listen to the Joe Rogan, but yet it's the number 1 podcast for a reason. Like, it's so, while we can say that, yes, I'll even say, like, for me, like, I finally took some time off of the show, which was much needed for, like, after 3 years of doing a new show every freaking year, every week, which don't recommend that. But I saw all of a sudden the stats started climbing of like viewership. And it wasn't just the YouTube, it wasn't just the shorts, it was the actual podcast. I had more people download stuff when I was off the air than I was on. I was like, maybe I just shouldn't go back on the air. I don't know what it is. But it is like, follow those trends and see, okay, where, and then to your point of like earlier, like, okay, so this has worked really well. Probably should do more on this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Nathanael, I'm looking at the clock here. I definitely went over what I told you I was going to go over, but I just cannot thank you enough for everything that you've done. I mean, you guys are just doing a killer job out there. And anytime, for those that don't know, incredible human here. Every time I talk to you about something going viral, you're the first to say, it's the team. It's Grace. It's Ben. I've got this entire team around me. And I know that it takes a team, but it's also that mentality that it is like, it takes all of us to be that successful, whatever success looks like to you. So it's for those that don't know, please get in touch with him. But we are at that point, Nathanael, where we're going to jump in. Oh, the lightning round with you. I know, heart be still. So for those that are watching, you can see his QR code below, but those that are listening on podcast land, how can they get in touch with you and how can they find you?
So, I mean, I'm on all major platforms and some non-major platforms. So, and Greglick, Nathanael G, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, X, if you're still into that. Be real. uh,
Oh my gosh.
Lemonade, which I found out. I think TikTok owns Lemonade. I think I just found that out.
Oh, really? I know that. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So
Anywho.
just find him anywhere and he'll respond back to you.
Yeah.
All right. So the name of the show is Facts Not Feelings. So whether it's in your personal life or whether it's in your professional life, how are you distinguishing facts from feelings?
I mean, it's in the title, facts not feelings. Like, look at
I agree.
have your KPIs, especially for social media, right? In terms of professional social media, you should be looking at video views, comments, saves, shares. Like those are the main KPIs. Your view, like how long someone's watching your video, because that's going to tell you where the value might be dropping off. And then personally, have goals, try to achieve them every single day, and just keep pushing. Bring people with you. I think one of my favorite quotes from John Maxwell is, "If it's lonely at the top, it's because you didn't bring anybody with you."
Ooh,
So,
I like that.
so bring people with you.
I'm a big fan of that one. I like that. Okay, so you obviously were on the show about a year ago. We did a New Year's Eve episode, and it was Dusty, yourself, and Bill Schomburg. So I don't believe I was asking this question. So what is one thing that most people would not know about you?
I'm pretty open book. Let's see. I like paintball. Might be the only thing
Okay,
that people may not know about me.
I like it. Okay. Do you have a whole arsenal of paintball guns and
Well, I don't have an arsenal. I have one pistol, one gun, and I run it light.
I like it, man. Nothing wrong with that. Well, thank you once again, for everything you guys are doing. I have used you more times I can count of people like I just happened a couple weeks ago. I had a client group that was like, "Hey, who should we follow?" I was like, "Well, let me tell you who should follow." Like, "Oh yeah, we've heard about them." So it just continue what you guys are doing. An incredible team there. Just thank you so much. And then for always just sharing your knowledge. You guys have a podcast out. You've got so many different ways of like trying to help the automotive industry, especially in what can feel like sometimes at a dealership 30 years behind the times with social media. So just keep up the amazing work. And with that, everyone, you all know the drill at this point. Find a way to serve, whether that's opening a car door, whether that's a kind smile, just do something to better someone's life and bring a little bit more joy into their life today. And with that, everyone, we'll see everybody next week.